The rain hammered the tin roof of the old farmhouse like God's own judgment. Each drop a accusation against the sins of the heart. Daniela's father, Harlan Whitaker, loomed in the doorway of the kitchen. His face twisted in a mask of fury that she'd only seen once before, when her mother left them for a bottle and a stranger's bed. "Get out," he growled, his voice cracking like thunder over the Pennsylvania hills. "I won't have my blood tainted by this abomination under my roof." Daniela's heart shattered like the coffee mug she'd hurled in defiance, shards scattering across the linoleum like the fragments of her life. She was 25, fresh out of community college with dreams of teaching literature in some dusty high school classroom. But now those dreams drowned in the flood of her father's words. Elena, her lover of 2 years, the woman with sun-kissed skin and laughter that could chase away the winter chill, stood frozen beside her, hand trembling in Daniela's grip. "Harlan, please," Elena whispered. But the plea hung in the air, useless as a prayer to a deaf sky. That was the night Daniela Whitaker became a ghost in her own hometown of Elmwood, Pennsylvania, a speck on the map where cornfields stretched like endless regrets and church steeples pierced the smoggy horizon. She packed a duffel bag with nothing but faded jeans, a dog-eared copy of The Great Gatsby, and the silver locket Elena had given her on their first anniversary, engraved with "Our story isn't over." Harlan's parting shot echoed as she slammed the truck door. "Don't come back until you've scraped this filth from your soul." Elena's old Chevy sputtered to life, and they fled south toward Pittsburgh, the city lights a hazy promise of anonymity amid the steel mills and river fog. In the weeks that followed, survival became their religion. Daniela waitressed at a dive bar called the Rusty Anchor, slinging greasy burgers to truckers who leered and tipped in quarters, her calloused hands a far cry from the chalk-dusted fingers she'd imagined. Elena, a graphic designer by trade, scraped by freelancing logos for local bands, her portfolio a vibrant rebellion against the grayscale of their days. They rented a shoebox apartment above a laundromat, the kind where the walls thrummed with the spin cycles of strangers' regrets. Nights were their sanctuary, tangled in thrift store sheets, Elena's fingers tracing the freckles across Daniela's collarbone like constellations in a starless sky. "We're building something real here, Danny," Elena would murmur, her breath warm against Daniela's neck. Stone by stone, away from all that poison, but the poison lingered, a slow drip in Daniela's veins. Letters from Elmwood arrived like indictments. Her brother Marcus, the golden son who'd taken over the family farm after their mother's death, writing curt notes about crop yields and family honor. No mention of her. Of course. Harlan's silence was deafening, a void that swallowed holidays and birthdays. Daniela buried the ache in stolen moments with Elena, picnics by the Allegheny River, where they'd feed each other strawberries and whisper futures that tasted like freedom. Elena's eyes, dark and fierce like polished obsidian, held Daniela's gaze during their lovemaking, a silent vow. "I see you. All of you. And I choose this." 2 years blurred into a fragile rhythm. Daniela enrolled in night classes at Pitt, her English lit degree a flickering candle against the wind. Elena's freelance gigs bloomed into a steady contract with a queer arts collective. Her designs splashed across posters for pride parades and underground poetry slams. They adopted a scruffy mutt named Scout, who curled at their feet during movie nights, rom-coms flickering on a second-hand TV. It was almost enough to forget the hollow in Daniela's chest, the what-ifs of a father's embrace, the ghost of Sunday dinners with Harlan's gravelly laugh filling the room. Then, on a sweltering July morning in 2025, the call came. Daniela was flipping pancakes in their cramped kitchen, syrup bubbling on the stove, when her phone buzzed with an unknown number from Elmwood. "Miss Whitaker? This is Reverend Ellis from St. Mary's. Your father's passed. Heart attack in the North Field. We're sorry for your loss." The spatula clattered to the floor. Elena rushed in from the bedroom, her robe askew, wrapping arms around Daniela as sobs racked her body. Harlan Whitaker, the man who'd built his life on unyielding soil and unyielding principles, gone at 68. Daniela hadn't spoken to him in 730 days, but the grief hit like a freight train, derailing every careful compartment she'd built. The funeral was a tableau of small-town piety, black umbrellas blooming like funeral lilies under a relentless sun, the casket gleaming atop the hill where Harlan had taught her to drive stick shift at 14. Daniela arrived alone. Elena had offered to come, but the wounds were too fresh, the stares too sharp. She wore a simple black dress borrowed from a coworker, her auburn hair pulled into a severe bun, green eyes hidden behind cheap sunglasses. Marcus spotted her from across the grave, his broad frame stiffening in his ill-fitting suit. "Danny," he said, voice low and edged with something unnameable, anger? Relief? He pulled her into a hug that felt like a vice, his stubble scraping her cheek. "He asked about you. Near the end. Thought you might show." The service dragged. Hymns about redemption. Eulogies painting Harlan as the salt-of-the-earth farmer who tithed faithfully and voted the straight ticket. Daniela sat in the back pew, fingers twisting the locket at her throat. Memories assaulting her, the way Harlan's hands, rough as burlap, had bandaged her skinned knees, the bedtime stories of pioneer women who'd tamed the frontier with grit and grace. He'd never said the word love outright. Not after Mom left. But it was there in the quiet provisions. Extra cash slipped into her glove box. A new coat just in case. Afterward. At the potluck in the church basement. Whispers slithered like smoke. "That's Harlan's girl, the one who..." "You know." Old neighbors averted eyes, their potato salads untouched beside her. Marcus cornered her by the Jell-O molds. "The reading's tomorrow at Old Man Hargrove's office. We'll straightforward. But Dad had some codicils. Better come." His blue eyes, so like their father's, flickered with unease. Daniela nodded, throat tight. For the first time in years, she felt the pull of Elmwood's gravity, inexorable as the harvest moon. That night, in a motel on the outskirts, neon vacancy sign buzzing like a swarm of doubts, Daniela called Elena. "I don't know if I can do this," she confessed, voice muffled against the thin pillow. Elena's reply was a lifeline. "You're stronger than any of them know, baby. And when you come home, I'll be here with wine and that playlist we made, the one with all the sapphic anthems." They talked until dawn, Elena's voice weaving spells of normalcy. Scout's latest chewed slipper, a client's disastrous logo revision. It was enough to steel Daniela for the morning. Hargrove's office smelled of pipe tobacco and faded ink, the walls lined with law tomes that sagged like weary sentinels. Marcus arrived with his wife, Lydia, a mousy woman with a perm and a cross necklace, trailing a step behind, their 2 boys in tow, fidgeting in starched collars. No one mentioned Elena. The absence was a chasm. Hargrove, a wizened relic with wire-rimmed glasses, cleared his throat and began. The farm, 300 acres of prime soil. The house with its wraparound porch. The John Deere that Harlan had babied like a third child, to Marcus, as eldest son and steward. Debt settled. A modest bequest to the church. Daniela's portion? $1,000 for books, Harlan had scrawled in the margin, and a tarnished pocket watch she'd given him as a teen. She swallowed the bitterness, signing where indicated. When Hargrove paused. There's an addendum. Miss Whitaker. Sealed until after the reading. Your father was particular. He slid an envelope across the desk. Cream paper sealed with red wax. Harlan's looping script. For Daniela Marie. On the occasion of my passing. With regret and resolve. Her fingers trembled as she broke the seal. Inside. A letter in Harlan's hand, spidery now, but unmistakable, and a second document. Crisp and notarized. The letter first. Danny girl. If you're reading this, I've shuffled off to whatever patch of earth waits for stubborn old fools. I reckon I owe you words I never spoke in life. That night. God help me. I saw red. Not at you. But at the fear gnawing my bones, the fear of losing another piece of you to this world that chews up the different and spits 'em out. Your ma left because she couldn't face her shadows. I feared you'd chase yours straight to ruin. But I watched from afar. Saw your name in that college newsletter. Heard whispers from the county fair. Proud don't cover it. The farm's Marcus's burden. He's got the back for it, but the East Meadow? That's yours. The one with the wildflowers you loved as a girl. And the cabin by the creek. Build on it. Live on it. Love on it. No strings. No sentiments. Just know your old man's heart was bigger than his mouth. Forgive me. Harlan. Tears blurred the ink. The document attached? A codicil transferring the East 40 acres, 20 acres of rolling hillside dotted with black-eyed Susans and the skeletal frame of a forgotten barn, plus the creekside cabin. Outright to Daniela. No contingencies. No clauses about straightening up. It was freedom. Etched in legalese. Marcus's face drained of color. This is bullshit, he hissed, snatching the papers. Lydia gasped, clutching her pearls. Harlan wouldn't. He knew our stance. The church. The community. The boys shrank back, sensing the storm. Daniela's pulse thundered. He did know. Marcus. And he chose this anyway. The betrayal hit like a sucker punch, not from Harlan, but from the brother who'd stood sentinel in her absence. Marcus had known. Whispers from Elena later confirmed it. A mutual cousin's slip about Marcus intercepting letters. Harlan's private mutterings in the barn about letting her be. Marcus had played the dutiful son, feeding Harlan's doubts like kindling. Ensuring the old man died believing his daughter was irredeemable. He was protecting the legacy, Marcus spat now. Crumpling the codicil. Not throwing it to your lifestyle. The room erupted. Hargrove pounding for order. Lydia weeping prayers. Daniela's voice rising like a tidal wave. My lifestyle? It's my life. Marcus. And Dad saw that, finally. She grabbed the papers. Storming out into the muggy afternoon. Rain threatening on the horizon. The drive back to the motel was a blur. Sobs choking her, a scout's ghost. Wait. No. Elena's voice on speaker. Come home. Danny. We'll fight this together. But home wasn't Pittsburgh anymore. It was the wildflower meadow calling her name. A patch of earth stained with her father's unspoken grace. That night, Elena drove through the downpour, arriving with takeout Thai and a fierce hug that smelled of jasmine shampoo. They made love on the motel's lumpy bed. Slow and deliberate. Elena's lips mapping every scar, literal and not, like a cartographer charting unclaimed territory. "Whatever comes," Elena whispered afterward. Fingers laced with Daniela's. "We face it side by side. That's our will." The legal battle ignited like dry tinder. Marcus contested the codicil, claiming undue influence. Undue from whom? A phantom aunt who'd warned Harlan of Daniela's sins? Depositions dragged through August haze, neighbors testifying to Harlan's traditional values, a pastor decrying the moral decay of it all. Daniela took the stand in Hargrove's stuffy courtroom annex, her voice steady as she read the letter aloud, Harlan's words hanging in the air like incense. "He forgave me," she said, eyes locking on Marcus across the aisle. "Why can't you?" The betrayal deepened in layers. Lydia confessed in a sidebar, whispered to Elena over coffee. The poor woman's nerves frayed. That Marcus had hidden Harlan's softer moments, burned photos of Daniela's childhood triumphs to spare the old man pain. It was protection, he claimed, but it reeked of control. Of a brother terrified that her queerness might tarnish the Whitaker name, the farm's unblemished facade. Elena raged on late-night walks along the motel strip. "He's not mourning Dad. He's mourning his grip on the myth." Climax brewed on a crisp September eve. The harvest moon fat and accusatory. Daniela and Elena drove to the farm unannounced. The east meadow a golden sea waving in the breeze. Marcus was there, silhouetted against the setting sun, tractor idling as he surveyed the boundary line. "You can't just take it," he bellowed, striding toward them, fists clenched. Elena stepped forward, her petite frame a shield, but Daniela held her back. "It's not taking, Marcus. It's inheriting what Dad wanted." Words flew like sparks, accusations of abandonment, retorts of erasure. Marcus's face crumpled then, the rage fracturing into raw grief. "I watched him die out there, alone in the dirt, clutching that damn watch you gave him. He whispered your name. Danny. And I told him you'd come around, that you'd fix yourself." The admission hung, a noose of his own making. Elena's hand found Daniela's, a quiet anchor amid the storm. In that moment, under the moon's indifferent gaze, Daniela saw her brother not as villain, but as another child starved for Harlan's approval, a mirror of her own scars. "We were both fixing ourselves for him," she said softly. "But he loved us broken. Let it go. Marcus. Let me have this piece." He didn't answer, but the fight drained from his shoulders. The judge ruled in her favor weeks later, the codicil ironclad, Harlan's intent a beacon through the legal fog. Marcus didn't appeal. Instead, a tentative olive branch, a key to the cabin, left in Hargrove's office with a note, "Build something good. For him. For us." Winter softened into spring 2026. Daniela and Elena transformed the cabin, a sagging A-frame by the creek, into their haven. Weekends from Pittsburgh. They hammered beams and painted walls seafoam green, laughter echoing where silence once reigned. Daniela finished her degree, landing a job teaching at Elmwood High. Her syllabus laced with queer icons, Audre Lorde, James Baldwin, voices that whispered you belong. Elena's designs adorned the walls, vibrant murals of wildflowers entwining, symbols of roots reclaimed. Reconciliation came in fits and starts. Marcus showed up one April afternoon, toddlers in tow, bearing a pie Lydia had baked. Apple. Like Ma's recipe. Awkward small talk by the creek. The boys splashing while Elena watched from the porch. A wary smile. Elena's family now. Marcus ventured. Daniela nodded. Chin lifted. Yeah. And you're welcome here. If you mean it. He did. In time. Holidays at the farmhouse grew less barbed. Scout chasing chickens. Elena charming Lydia with stories of her abuela's tamales. Harlan's pocket watch ticked on the mantel. A metronome to their mending. Betrayal's sting faded. Not to oblivion, but to a scar, tender reminder of growth's cost. On their 5th anniversary, under a canopy of fireflies in the East Meadow, Daniela knelt with a ring, simple gold, etched with wildflowers. You pulled me from the wreckage, she said, voice thick. Marry me, Elena. Let's make this forever. Tears glistened as Elena said yes, their kiss sealing vows against the whispering grass. In Elmwood's stubborn soil, love had taken root, not despite the casting out, but because of it. Harlan's secret will wasn't just land. It was permission to bloom, wild and unapologetic. And in the quiet hours, Daniela swore she felt him watching, not with judgment, but with the ghost of a proud nod. The cabin's first winter tested them like a crucible. Snowdrifts piling against the windows like the weight of unspoken fears. Daniela woke to the howl of wind through the eaves. Elena's warmth a bulwark against the chill seeping from the floorboards. It was November 2026. A year since the will's unveiling. And the East Meadow lay blanketed in white. The wildflowers dormant but unvanquished beneath. Daniela traced the curve of Elena's hip, marveling at the woman who'd become her compass, petite, with curves that begged mapping. Her black curls splayed like ink on the pillow, full lips parted in sleep. At 29, Elena carried the world in her eyes, mischief from her Mexican-American heritage, resilience forged in foster homes that taught her love was a gamble worth every loss. Downstairs, the coffee percolated with a gurgle that mimicked Daniela's unease. Teaching at Elmwood High was a battlefield disguised as chalkboards and lesson plans. Whispers followed her in the halls. That Whitaker girl. The one who. But she met them with fire. Assigning essays on Giovanni's room that forced her sophomore boys to confront desire's quiet revolutions. Principal Hargrove, cousin to the lawyer, eyed her warily but kept his mouth shut. The will's shadow loomed large in a town where grudges fermented like moonshine. Elena thrived in the chaos. Her home office a riot of color. MacBook humming with client briefs. Walls papered in sketches of queer icons reimagined as superheroes. Her latest gig? Branding for a Pittsburgh LGBTQ+ youth center. Logos that screamed visibility. Look at this, she'd say. Spinning in her desk chair to show Daniela a draft. A phoenix rising from cornstalks. Flames in rainbow hues. For kids like we were, hiding in plain sight, Daniela would pull her close, kissing the nape of her neck, inhaling the scent of turmeric and turpentine that clung to her skin. Those moments were sacraments, reminders that their love was no aberration but a defiant psalm. Yet the betrayal's aftershocks rippled. Marcus's overtures were genuine but jagged, laced with the residue of his control. He dropped by the cabin unannounced one sleety afternoon, bearing fence posts for the meadow's border. Can't have strays trampling your flowers, but his eyes skated past Elena, lingering on the framed photo of their engagement. Daniela and Elena mid-laugh, wildflowers crowning their heads like laurels. Dad would have hated that, he muttered, then flushed. I mean, the fuss. Daniela's temper flared, green eyes flashing. He signed the papers. Marcus. That was his blessing. Elena intervened with her diplomat's grace, offering mulled cider and steering talk to safer waters, the boys' little league triumphs. Lydia's new quilting circle. But later, alone by the wood stove, Daniela vented. He acts like forgiving me means erasing you. Elena cupped her face, thumbs brushing away frustrated tears. Then we remind him. Mi amor. Every visit, every shared meal. Love's the best revenge, patient, persistent. Christmas brought a fragile truce. The farmhouse glowed with strung lights. Harlan's absence a hollow in the hearth where his armchair sat draped in a quilt. Lydia had outdone herself. Turkey brined in cider. Pie crust flaked with lard from the farm's own hogs. The boys, now 4 and 6, orbited Daniela like satellites, fascinated by Aunt Danny's stories of Pittsburgh's drag brunches, where queens lip-synced Baldwin with sass and sequins. Marcus carved the bird in silence, but when Elena passed the gravy, their fingers brushed, and he didn't recoil. Heard about your center, he grunted. Good work. Town needs. Shaking up, to Daniela, felt like a dam cracking. After dinner, as snow feathered the windows, they gathered in the parlor, Scout snoring by the tree. Presents piled like offerings. Marcus pulled her aside to the mudroom, boots scuffing the rag rug. Found something in Dad's things. After the ruling, he pressed a small box into her palm. Inside, a bundle of letters, tied with twine. Harlan's handwriting, addressed to Daniela but never sent. Danny girl. The doc says my ticker's finicky. Makes a man ponder. Saw your face in that paper, the teaching job. Knew you had the fire. Don't let Elmwood dim it. As for the rest, reckon God's got room for all hearts. Crooked or no. Right back. Or don't. Just live true. Love, Dad. She wept then, ugly and unfiltered, Marcus's arms enveloping her in a hug that smelled of hay and hesitation. I burned the first batch, he confessed, voice muffled in her hair. Thought I was saving him. Saving us. But it was fear. Danny. Fear you'd outshine the farm. Make me look small. The admission was a scalpel, excising the tumor of resentment. Elena found them like that. A tableau of siblings salvaged. And joined the embrace, 3 bodies, 1 fractured bloodline mending. The new year ushered in blooms of possibility. Daniela proposed a family retreat. A weekend at the cabin. No agendas. Just the creek's murmur and Elena's guitar strumming folk tunes with queer undercurrents, closer to Fine by the Indigo Girls, harmonies weaving through the pines. Lydia arrived tentative, cross in hand, but warmed to Elena's stories of her abuela's pozole rituals, the way food stitched souls in her foster days. The boys discovered tadpoles in the shallows, their glee a universal language. Marcus chopped wood with Daniela, axes biting earth in rhythmic solidarity. You ever think about telling them? He asked, nodding to the kids. Daniela paused, sweat beading her brow. When they're ready. Like Dad waited for us. Betrayal's ghost lingered in subtler forms. Town hall meetings where councilmen eyed the Whitaker land grab with side eyes. A slashed tire on Elena's car. Anonymous note reading go back to the city. Sinner. Daniela reported it. But Sheriff Tate, a Harlan crony, shrugged. Kids. Probably. Let it lie. Rage simmered. But Elena channeled it into art. A mural for the high school library, depicting intertwined vines breaking stone, resilience rendered in acrylics. Daniela hung the first sketch above their bed. a talisman against the night. Spring unfurled with the meadow's resurrection, black-eyed Susans nodding like conspirators, the cabin's porch swing creaking under lazy afternoons. Daniela's classes delve deeper, units on sapphic literature. The price of salt sparking debates that left red-faced freshmen grappling with Highsmith shadows. One girl, shy sophomore Mia with braces and a hidden rainbow pin, lingered after class. Ms. Whitaker. How do you know when it's real? The love? I mean, Daniela's heart clenched, echoes of her own fumbling youth. When it scares you most, she replied. And you choose it anyway. Elena's 30th birthday fell on a balmy May Eve, the air thick with lilac and promise. Daniela planned a surprise. A catered spread from Pittsburgh's best queer-owned bistro, empanadas stuffed with chorizo, champagne chilling in the creek. Marcus and Lydia came, bearing a quilt piece from Harlan's old flannels. For the cold nights, Lydia said. Ice soft. The party spilled onto the meadow. Fireflies dancing as Elena opened gifts. A leather-bound sketchbook from Daniela, inscribed for the stories we'll draw together. Marcus cleared his throat, awkward in khakis, and handed over a deed amendment, access to the farm's irrigation line for the meadow. No more fighting the drought, he mumbled. Elena hugged him fierce, whispering, "Thank you for seeing her. And us." As stars pricked the velvet sky, Daniela pulled Elena to the creek's edge. Water gurgling secrets. 5 years, she murmured, nuzzling her temple. And every day, I fall harder. Elena turned, hands framing Daniela's face, strong jaw, freckles like cinnamon dusted. You cast me as your anchor, but you're the storm I crave. Their kiss deepened, unhurried, the world's judgments dissolving in the current's hush. Marcus watched from afar, a silhouette by the fire, and for the first time, his nod held no reservation. But harmony's fragile, summer storms brew unseen. In June, a letter arrived from a Pittsburgh firm, a class action suit against the youth center Elena designed for, alleging inappropriate content in the branding, rainbows too bold, Phoenix too phallic for conservative donors. Whispers traced back to Elmwood, an anonymous tip, Marcus's old hunting buddy on the center's board. Confrontation crackled over Sunday supper at the farmhouse, tension thick as the humid air. Wasn't me, Marcus swore, but his evasion stank of half-truths. Daniela stormed out, Elena trailing, their truck kicking gravel as they fled to the cabin. There, amid fireflies' glow, the fight spilled, accusations flying like shrapnel. He's trying to bury us again, Daniela raged, pacing the porch. Elena pulled her down, legs tangled on the swing. Or he's scared of change, of losing control. Like Dad was. Vulnerability cracked Daniela open. She confessed the fear gnawing her. Wedding jitters. Not the ceremony, but the town's glare. The what-ifs of forever in a place that half-hated them. Elena's response was a vow renewed. Then we make our own place. Here. With wildflowers and witnesses who choose joy. The suit crumbled, donors defected. The center's director a bulldog in court, but the rift with Marcus widened. Weeks of radio silence, broken by a midnight call. Lydia, voice quavering. He's drinking again. Danny says he ruined everything, the farm, the family. Come talk to him. Dawn found the sisters-in-law at the north field. Harlan's grave, a mound of fresh earth under dew-kissed grass. Marcus was there, bottle in hand, eyes bloodshot. I tipped them off, he admitted. Voice raw. Thought it'd push you back to the city safer. Away from the hate. But it was me bringing the hate. Wasn't it? Daniela knelt beside him. Hand on his knee, a gesture small as a seed. We all carry Dad's ghosts. But you don't have to alone. Elena arrived then. Coffee thermos in tow. And the three sat vigil as the sun crested. Talking through the tangle, Marcus's envy of Daniela's courage. His terror of the boys questioning the Whitaker way. Forgiveness wasn't a thunderclap but a slow thaw. Promises etched in the dirt. Therapy for him. Boundaries for them. A family redefined. By autumn's amber turn, the meadow thrummed with harvest, pumpkins swelling like secrets kept. Daniela and Elena planned their wedding. Intimate. Under the cabin's eaves. Officiant a queer rabbi from Pittsburgh. Invites went out. Marcus RSVP'd yes. Lydia baking the cake. The betrayal's scar tissue strengthened them. A lattice for love's vines to climb. October's chill kissed the leaves gold as wedding preparations wove through their days like threads in Elena's quilts. The cabin buzzed. Fairy lights strung from rafters. Wildflower centerpieces drying on the table. Scout's bandana a jaunty rainbow. Daniela, ever the planner, fretted over vows. How do I say I choose you without sounding like a Hallmark card? While Elena laughed. Her sketches capturing their essence. Two women back to back. Swords drawn against shadows. Hearts entwined at the hilt. Elmwood murmured. But the tide shifted subtle. Daniela's students rallied. A GSA club sprouting in the high school's musty auditorium. Mia at the helm. Her braces flashing in pride flags. Inspired by you. W, she said. Pinning a boutonniere for the ceremony. Marcus threw himself into redemption's labor. Reinforcing the cabin's foundation. His hammer strikes a metronome of amends. Lydia confessed over tea. Seeing you too. It's like watching God repaint the gray. Harlan would have grumbled. But he'd have come. The eve of the wedding dawned crisp. The meadow a tapestry of crimson maples and amber grasses. Rehearsal dinner at the farmhouse. Mismatched chairs around the harvest table. Potluck splendor. Lydia's venison stew. Elena's abuela-inspired mole. Marcus's boys piping frosting onto cupcakes. Toasts flowed tentative then true. Lydia's blessing laced with scripture reimagined for love's spectrum. The boys garbled cheers. Marcus stood last. Glass raised. Voice gravel from disuse. To Danny and Elena, for teaching an old mule new paths. Dad's watching. And damn if he ain't smiling. Laughter rippled. Sealing fractures with warmth. Night fell soft. Elena and Daniela retreating to the cabin's loft. The air scented with sage smudged for luck. They made love slow. Reverent, Elena's tongue tracing collarbones like scripture. Daniela's gasps prayers answered. Afterward. Limbs lax. Elena whispered. Tomorrow. We become legend. Daniela chuckled. Fingers combing curls. Just us. Baby. The rest is backdrop. Dawn broke in pastels. Guests arriving in waves. Pittsburgh friends in sequin finery. Elena's foster siblings bearing tamales. Elmwood allies, Hargrove the lawyer. Surprisingly dapper. With a nod to progress. Mia orchestrated the aisle. A petal path through the meadow. Leading to an arch of woven vines. Marcus walked Daniela down it. His arm steady. No trace of the vice grip goodbye from years past. Proud of you. Sis, he murmured. Squeezing her hand. Always was. Elena waited at the arch. Radiant in a cream suit tailored sharp. Corsage of black-eyed Susans at her lapel. Her eyes, dark pools of forever, locked on Daniela's as she approached in flowing ivory. Auburn waves loose. Green gaze fierce with joy. The rabbi's words washed over them. Blessings for unions forged in fire. Echoes of Ruth and Naomi in the autumn light. Vows exchanged. Rings sliding cool as promises. Daniela's, you are my wild. My anchor. My every dawn. Elena's, in your storm. I found my short amo. Eternamente. The kiss sealed it. Unhurried. Cheers erupting like confetti. Scout barked approval. The boys tossed petals with abandon. Feast followed. Laughter loud. Dances loose under strung bulbs. Marcus pulled Elena aside mid-waltz. Awkward sway. Welcome to the mess. Elena. For real. She grinned. Spinning him dizzy. Mess is my medium. But no story ends without Shadow's whisper. As dusk deepened, a call pierced the revelry. Sheriff Tate. Voice clipped. Trouble at the farmhouse. Marcus. Vandals. Bible verses spray-painted on the barn. Leviticus 18 verse 22. The party hushed. Ugliness crashing the idol. Marcus's face hardened. But Daniela stepped forward. Let me handle it. With Elena's hand in hers. They drove to the farm. Guests trailing in solidarity. The barn loomed accusatory. Red letters dripping like wounds. Abomination dwells here. Footprints in the mud led to the road, tires screeching away. Daniela's rage boiled. But Elena's calm tempered it. They want fear. We give grace. Marcus surveyed the damage. Fists clenched. Then deflated. My fault, pushing back too hard. Too public. No. Daniela thought, not fault. But the cost of visibility in a town teetering on tolerance's edge. Cleanup became communal. Friends scrubbing with brushes and banter. Mia quoting Baldwin. People pay for what they do. And still more for what they have allowed themselves to become. By midnight, the barn gleamed anew. Verses erased but lessons etched. Back at the meadow, the party reignited, dancier. Defiant. Elena and Daniela slow burned to at last. Bodies flush. Whispers of futures. Adopting a kid like Mia. Expanding the GSA into a center. Roots deepening in Pennsylvania clay. Months blurred into a mosaic of milestones. Daniela's tenure track solidified. Her syllabus a curriculum of courage. Elena's designs went viral. A pride campaign for a national brand. Billboards blazing across billboards from Philly to Chicago. Marcus sobered fully. Therapy a weekly pilgrimage. Lydia joined a book club delving fun home. Emerging with questions that sparked heartside debates. The boys called Elena Tia, teaching her baseball lingo. Their innocence a bridge. Betrayal's final echo came unbidden. A package at the cabin. Dovey. Containing Harlan's old Bible, pages dog-eared at Leviticus. But tucked inside. A pressed wildflower from the East Meadow. And a note in his hand. Found this in your room. Danny. Pressed it after that night. Beauty persists. So should we? Love? Dad. Marcus confessed later. He'd unearthed it in the attic. A relic of Harlan's private thaw. He was changing. Slow as seasons. I almost threw it out. Daniela framed it beside their wedding photo. A triptych of redemption. Casting out. Secret grace. Chosen kin. Elena traced the petals one evening. As snow flurried anew. Human. All of it flawed. Feared. Forgiven. Daniela pulled her close. The locket at her throat warm. Like us. Years wove onward. The cabin expanding, a nursery wing for little Jamie. Adopted at 3. With Elena's curls and Daniela's fire. The meadow hosted annual gatherings, GSA picnics, family reunions where Marcus's grandkids chased fireflies, Lydia reciting reinterpreted psalms. Elmwood evolved incremental, a pride flag at town hall, courtesy of Mia's council run. In quiet hours, Daniela taught by the creek, Jamie splashing as Elena sketched. Harlan's watch ticked on. Time's gentle insistence. She'd been cast out for loving a woman. But love's alchemy turned exile to empire, a legacy not of land, but of hearts reclaimed. And in that American heartland, where corn whispered secrets to the wind, they thrived. Dramatic in devotion, emotional in endurance, romantic in resilience, humanistic in healing. The end? Not tragedy, nor unalloyed joy, but a testament. Secrets unveiled change everything. If we dare to till the soil,